So for today's video, we're going to be talking about classes, abstract classes, and a very difficult topic that we're going to try to simplify as best as possible, inheritance. But first, we're going to start with classes. So for the longest time in this series, and probably up in your own programming career, if you're not ahead of me or anything like that, you've been working with just one class, what we would call our main class. We have a main method, but you can name this class whatever you want. But basically, it's your method or your class that just has the main method in it, and you just run stuff in that. Or you have some other methods that are called by the main method. Okay, pretty standard stuff. But today's video, we're going to introduce you to the idea of multiple classes. So the first thing you want to do is click on your package, right-click on it, and do a new class. Name it Pizza. Why not? What a great food. Perfect idea to demonstrate a class. So, pizzas are pretty interesting because they have a lot of features that we can analyze. They can have different cheeses, they can have different sizes, different amounts of sauce, different toppings, lots of stuff that you could put into a class. So what we do with classes, say a pizza class that we have now, we make a constructor. But before we do that, actually, we make fields. Fields, if you don't know what they are yet, probably don't, unless maybe someone's explained it to you. I assume not, but they have. Great. Fields basically are just our variables that we're going to be manipulating just in the class. They're almost always private, but you can make them public. So, for example, we're going to have private pizza size. Pizza size equals, well, we don't really have a size for it yet. We don't have to declare it, except we do have to give it a data type. Very important. And we're going to use that strategy that we had before of, like that. We can do sauce amount, I guess. It's a great name for a variable, I guess. Sauce amount, I guess we'll just be measuring it in pounds, maybe, something like that. You get the idea. Cheese amount, I guess, also in pounds. I don't know. Number of pepperonis. Num of pep. There we go. Got some ints, and then we could have private string pizza name. Okay. If I spelled right. But for this, we're just going to assume that the cheese and sauce amount are static, as in they don't change, they're the same value. So, just so we can simplify it for ourselves, you get the idea. So we have our fields here. Oh, didn't actually start my stopwatch. Okay. Don't know how long I've been doing this for then. Let's see here. Okay. I don't know what I was talking about. Okay. Forget about everything that I just said in the last 5 seconds or so. Let's go back to this. Okay. So we got the name, we got some variables. Great. What do we do next? So usually what you do with these kind of classes is that you make a constructor. And what a constructor is that it takes in any information from another class, usually, and just provides it. Provides it so that these variables can be not instantiated, but no, instantiated. That's the word I was looking for. Okay. I should record these earlier in the day, but I worked today. That's not an excuse, but can't do anything now. So we do a public, I totally forgot what I was, okay, public pizza. Whenever you make a constructor, it's usually a public constructor, and then you go with the class name. Always has to be the class name. And then you take in the values you need. So we need pizza size. We'll just abbreviate them, I guess. NOP and string PN. Alrighty, put some brackets there, and you have created a constructor. It's all it does is it takes in the values for the class that you're making, so that you can, set them equal to each other. So we take pizza size equals PS num of pep equals NOP. I spelled it right. And you get the idea. You just keep doing that to set them equal to whatever you need. And there you go. Got something like that. Now what you can do is, now that you've stored all that information, we can make what are called accessor methods. Accessor methods are only useful if your variable types are private, which in most cases they will be, just because that's just convention. So what you do is you make a public, and actually, before I say any more, you may notice that I'm leaving out that static. This is because classes, more often than not, are not static methods. They are changeable. You can make multiple instances of classes known as objects. And when a method is not static, it means that it can change from different objects, instances of classes. If they are static, they do not change. If they are not static, so if they are static, they do not change. If they are static, how am I butchering this so bad? Okay. If they are static, they do not change. If they are not static, they can change. Wow, took me that long to say that. That's sad. Alrighty. But here's what we can do. We make the method, we call it public, and then we just call it whatever we're returning. So we want to return the pizza name. So we return a string. So do public string, get pizza name. Try to make your method names, like I said in previous videos, try to make them accurate to what you need to do. So get pizza name. Okay, it's giving us an error because we need to return it. Return pizza name. Got it. Okay, and then you would do that for the next 3. We don't need to do that. I'm just demonstrating for you. Okay, then we can just do public. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is accessor method. There's accessor methods and then there's setter methods. Setter methods, they just set values. So if we wanted to set the pizza name, we would call it a public void get set pizza name. If I could spell, I spelled it right, I just didn't. What is up with me today? Jeez. Okay, we got something like that, and then we can just do, well, we want to take in a string to set it to, so we take string new name. We set pizza name equals new name. And there you go. You got stuff like that, and then you can just, finish up the setters, the getters, that kind of stuff, and then you'd have a fully fledged class. Okay, that's a pretty down-to-earth, really short explanation. That's probably pretty awful, but probably should have explained what classes are useful for. They're useful for if you want to store information that maybe isn't like that you want to keep in another class, but you can reference in another class. So for example, in this main class, we can declare a new pizza object. So pizza pepperoni equals new pizza. But it will prompt us for these things. Which brings me to the idea of a default constructor. A default constructor is a constructor that has no parameters. All of its values are preset. So pizza size we'll say is a large, so probably around 16 inches, I would think. I'm not sure, I don't work at a pizza place. Number of pepperonis, we'll say for default, there is no pepperoni, it's just a cheese pizza, and the pizza name is just cheese. And there you go. That's a default constructor, which would mean if we just said pizza equals pizza pepperoni equals new pizza, it would work, and it would totally just declare an object that references the default method, the default constructor. So we go, but that's not a pepperoni pizza, that's a cheese pizza. We'll call it that, and then you can access its methods. You can just do cheese dot get pizza name. There you go. Set pizza name we can do as well. That's the general idea. What we're going to talk about now is probably going to be just as rushed, but hopefully it gives you some sort of explanation that maybe your lead, your software lead, if you're on a robotics team, or you can look it up on the internet if need be, or I can make follow-up videos if there's a lot of requests for that. Abstract classes is where we're going next. So let's use the pizza class we have. So an abstract class refers to a class that cannot be instantiated, but what it allows us to do, put abstract class there. An abstract class usually only, or as in, it can be made a reference to. So let's say we had the pizza class and then we had a pepperoni pizza class. So let's do that. Let's make that right now. Name set. Right. So we could just totally remove that. Let's say we don't even need it. An abstract class should always have the things that are the most general things that all of its subclasses share. So an abstract class pizza, well, every pizza has a size and a name. Right? Some pizzas don't have sauce. Some they don't have pizza sauce. They have garlic sauce, which you get the point. They don't have tomatoes. They don't have your regular pizza sauce. Some pizzas don't have cheese. Bread and sauce, I guess. Or maybe it's a dessert pizza. You don't know. That's what the abstract class is supposed to do. It provides you with a template, if you will, that lets you know what basically the general ideas for the pizza are. Well, in this case, the pizza. In other classes, it might be something else. So we're going to make a new class. We're going to call it pepperoni. Alright, so we got our pepperoni class. What we can do, what you immediately do, extends pizza. Whenever you do something like that, what it means is this class implements the methods of this pizza class, aka the pepperoni class is a subclass. You can think about it. Let me draw it up in a beautiful picture on here. This would be, here, let me do this. Okay, so this would be your pizza class, and a subclass of that is your pepperoni class. As in, any methods that are within the pizza class are automatically a part of the pepperoni class, unless you choose to overwrite them, which you can do. But probably one of the more interesting things that you can do with abstract classes, you can have abstract methods. What an abstract method is, let me make one real quick, is say public abstract get toppings. Let's say we want it to be a string. It's a functionality that will change from class to class. Let's say in this case the method will print what toppings they are. So we'll actually make that a void get toppings. We actually don't even have to do that. We can just do this. There we go. Now you have an abstract method, which will give us an error here. It will tell you that it must implement that method. That's kind of the great thing about methods like this, is that you must implement them. So now let's say it's a pepperoni pizza. We must .out.println add the functionality for it. And there you go. That's the purpose of abstract methods and abstract classes, to provide a general functionality, as in This is the pizza class that every type of pizza shares. These are the common traits of pizzas. So I want to store it in a superclass named pizza. Superclass. You want to remember those terms because they're pretty useful. A superclass is just the class that has the most general information about all of its subclasses. Its name, not necessarily its name, but for most classes, it's the name is shared by every subclass. Like, say you had an animal class as your superclass. Its subclasses would be dog, or maybe not even that general, or maybe not even that specific. Maybe it goes into its subclasses are mammals, and then reptilians, and then it goes into those subclasses. You can have an infinite number of subclasses. As in a dog class, its superclass could be mammalian, and then the mammalian's superclass would be animals. You could totally have that. Pizza is a lot simpler to work with, but you get the idea. And actually, these abstract classes already brought us into what is known as inheritance. Inheritance is when you inherit things from other classes. When it comes to this actually is inheritance. But more often than not, if you make an abstract class, you will be working with inheritance. It's actually not as complicated as I made it seem. It can be, but for more often than not, it won't be. And what I should also mention is, you probably want to make a constructor for this. Subclasses can still have constructors, and it's very important, especially if it doesn't have a default. So actually we're going to copy these. This is actually what I get to show you. So okay, let me make a quick setter. Actually, let me just copy that. Copy and code. Greatest thing. Set pizza size. Okay. Make that an int. Okay, got that real quick. Alrighty, so here's what you want to do. What you will do is, let's say here, okay, we got pizza size. Let's say, oh, we want to make this pepperoni. Pizza size and pizza name. Okay, what we do is super, since we want to go to our super class, and what we do is we feed in that information, PS and PN, pizza size and pizza number, and that feeds right into our pizza class. So now this pepperoni and pizza class are totally connected. Well, they already were because of that extends. Totally connected. You can declare a pepperoni object. Totally fine, and you have the functionality of the pizza class. They get pizza name, that kind of stuff. General functionality. So you could have a pepperoni class like this that's really simple, that kind of stuff. And you could have like a pizza shop that just interacts with the pizza class, the pepperoni class, any other kind of pizzas. Basically, you could get a lot more complicated with this than we're probably going to explore for this series. If you want me to go more in depth, I'll totally do it. Might not come back alive because inheritance is not hard, but there's a lot to talk about when it comes to inheritance and abstract classes, to classes in general. Not the most fun. And we might touch on it a bit more next episode, but for now, I think we're going to end this video off. But there's probably something that you might notice about last video that I didn't cover. There's no assignment for that video. Interesting. I should have assigned this to the next video because it's probably going to be the last one in this series that is planned. The other ones might be if users request it. Of course I'll make more. Basically what I want you to do for this assignment, for this advanced Java series, is I want you to make me or really you don't have to make it for me. You can just make it to prove to yourself that you're a competent Java programmer, or that you think that you are skilled enough. I want you to make me a video game, text-based. Unless you would like to look up graphics, I can't teach them to you because they're really complicated. But you can it's totally fine to do a text-based game. I want you to show me everything you know: for loops, arrays. I'll try to cover explain those more in depth. You can always look online. That's totally fine. Ask questions. Ask a lot of questions. That's all programming is. But there's no limits. You can do whatever you want. Just has to be a text-based game. That's it. Anything else? Nope. It's up to you what it's about, how you design it, right? I just want to see how well you can program. That's all I care about. But I also want to see how creative you are, because one of the most important things with code, especially when you're writing your own code, it's not seem like a robot. And I know that's kind of a loaded sentence, because if you're programming robots on a robotics team, well, you kind of have to type like a robot because you're going to be programming a robot. But what I mean is, if any of you out there are thinking about becoming game developers, which I know some of you might be, you want to be creative with your code. Which means, say, right, I want you to come up with a creative idea for a game. Doesn't have to be that complicated. It's just a text-based game. Or if, like I said, if you want to work with graphics, that's your own prerogative. I'm not going to teach you that because they're really difficult to work with. Well, not for me, because I know how to do them, but teaching-wise, you have to be in computer science for a while to really get that kind of stuff. But I think I explained it very well. Okay, so that's your assignment. There is no due date, because that would seem really dumb, because you could watch these at any time. But just, like, I'm not going to grade it, but I want you to do it as a self-test to yourself to see how far you've come. Just make a game, play it, fix it up if there's bugs, and just revel in how far you've come. I will see you in the next episode. Have fun.